Having talked about video game storytelling in the previous video, I now want to go into more detail of gameplay when it comes to telling a story in a game. The Witcher 3 and Dark Souls provide an example for mature stories with distinctive elements of video game storytelling. They also show how world building, choice, and non-linearity have become the staples of complex game narratives today. They are prominent and extreme examples, but innovative use of storytelling can be found in one way or another in many other, less ambitious titles as well.
Yep, the Apaches always appeared out of nowhere, and there never seemed to be an end to them.
Hold on, were you attacked by Apaches? What happened to the cowboys?
Did I say they were Apaches? I said Clanton's cowboys attacked me Apache style.
Games like Call of Juarez, Gunslinger have a narrator, changing environment and gameplay dynamically, and are just examples how storytelling and gameplay can be used going hand in hand.
Running, not knowing where the hell I was going, and that's when something miraculous happened. Like manna from heaven, I found the desiccated remains of what looked like an Apache warrior. The old weapon next to him supplied me with some much-needed ammunition.
Nevertheless, I find it important not to restrict oneself to define good video game storytelling only by world building, complexity, or non-linearity. These are important trademarks of video game narratives, but we should not forget about the actual gameplay and how it greatly affects the immersion of video games. Now, I have talked about immersive world building in the context of The Witcher 3, but I want to focus on titles not using an open world now. Games like Max Payne 3 have a strong, linear narrative, but are also considered to be immersive. Their world feels real because they establish their own, maybe unrealistic logic of action and reaction, and they keep following that rule, staying coherent. In Max Payne, we feel in control of the situation. We know how things work in this stylized game world. We feel as part of it, and we are rarely thrown out of it, reminding us we are playing a game. Rockstar is particularly good creating believable worlds and mechanics like that. We never feel out of place with what we do in other titles like GTA or Red Dead Redemption. This is mostly due to the physics engine used in these games. It presents gameplay with believable interaction between cause and effect. Coming back to Max Payne, it doesn't do much of fresh storytelling besides graphical effects, but the series and his character have become one of the key figures of gaming history through its signature and immersive game mechanic. To show further how important gameplay can be for a narrative, we can have a look at games like Doom, which don't even attempt to tell a complex story. It has shown how redefined, interactive and immersive mechanics are enough to tell a rather simple story on a very satisfying level of emotion. Doom and similar titles inherit their brilliancy in their pure, energetic gameplay, making it obvious how important it is for a game how it actually feels like to play. Weapon handling is satisfying, the feedback from hitting an enemy gory and brutal, and the overall movement crisp and responsive. While it shares these characteristics with Max Payne, Doom manages the feeling of being agile and a powerhouse of weight at the same time. Its music also comes out to shine when focusing only on gameplay. The tracks are characteristically heavy metal, adapting to the skill and flow of the player. Doom is a good example how gameplay can carry a game and its story when done right. While the narrative and the way it's told can be important and unique in video games, we should not forget the satisfaction behind brilliant and versatile gameplay, as it can result in a hands-on, small-scale experience of narrative. Other titles try another approach on top of an immersive gameplay. They give us more of a choice, how we want to approach a situation. While it barely has any effect on the overall story arc, it can have an impact on us, the player. Stealth and aggression seem to have taken the reign of interactive gameplay these days. We individually shape our characters like Sam Fisher on a personal level. We make them not harm anyone, or we go the safe way, ruthlessly killing targets to get to the objective. It's highly satisfying to find your own way towards the end, when the games give you all the tools you need and leave you with the choice alone. And while our character is individually defined through our gameplay decisions, the game world also dynamically reacts to them and our actions, resulting in different experiences every time. These small-scale happenings have become the center of fun for many games, and Ubisoft, concentrating on them in their games, has found a name: gameplay anecdotes. Small and unique stories with no real narrative, resulting out of domino effects between a living game world and different gameplay systems.
Hey! To me, brother! On my way! Watch each other's backs.
Gameplay has become a part of general video game storytelling by now, either on a small scale, as in titles like Max Payne and Splinter Cell, or a bigger scale, affecting the outcome of a story, as in Dark Souls or The Witcher 3.
Have you seen Horace anywhere?
Most games today tend to have a mix of both. They offer a balance of good and interactive gameplay and a mix of classic and unique storytelling elements. Immersion, environmental storytelling and non-linearity are found in most of them. By now it should be clear that these elements can't be looked at separately, but in their interaction with each other. Non-linearity can be part of the gameplay, small story branches, or the overall arc of the narrative. And immersion is part of a living world and environmental storytelling, but also of satisfying and coherent gameplay. A good example here would be Mafia 3. As the third installment, it introduced the mechanic of choice, whether in gameplay approach or regarding the story, when we decide who to pick as our henchman. While not affecting the narrative in the length of The Witcher 3, it does leave its small impact on the story outcome. Additionally, it also affects the actual gameplay, determining our resources we have later. Mafia 3, while far from being perfect, is a great example how a franchise has evolved over time, from the first title clearly dividing gameplay and storytelling, to the third using more and more game mechanics to deliver the story on a different, more interactive level.
Welcome home, son.
Other games would be titles like Far Cry or Ghost Recon Wildlands, and they are all no prime examples of neither perfect gameplay nor best storytelling design, but they offer a satisfying balance between immersive gameplay and a unique story arc presentation.
These folks can spook easily.
Rook, on me. Stay loose, huh?
What are they doing here? Be calm. Stay calm, everyone.
Gordon, is that you?
Having talked about the different interactions of storytelling and game mechanics, I hope I have shown my thoughts on video game approaches towards narration and their potential in the entertainment market.
I do believe I soiled myself.
Now I know that the industry is far from perfect, especially when it comes to narration, but I think there are enough examples to solidify their place amongst other entertainment giants like movies and theater. Yes, video games do also have shortcomings others don't have, especially when it comes to storytelling. There's often a huge dissonance when it comes to gameplay and narrative, when players can act out of the role the story has given them. An example would be found in Witcher 3, which has served as a positive example as well. There is a huge amount of good written quests and stories you can experience, but when being sucked into them it can lead to a paradox, as the main protagonist in the overall story arc should be in the utmost urgency and not doing side quests all day long.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
But the beauty of games is their variety and possibilities which haven't been discovered yet. And in the end, it is a video game that puts this problem and many more of video game design in its center.
Walked straight ahead to the opposite door and got back on track.
The Stanley Parable depicts and reveals the flaws of game narrative through a dynamic narrator reacting to the player's choices and actions, simultaneously showing off video game narration at its best and in its uniqueness.
Hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here, no choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.